Probably the final thing that I get organisations to keep in mind is that they make the mistake of thinking that because people are young in years, that they're lacking in experience. And yet, I don't know about you, but I've met a lot of people in their sort of late teens, early 20s who've got some massive life experience. The things that they've done, the amount of travelling, for example, they've done by that age compared to what you or I had done by that age, means they've been exposed to a whole lot more, and they've been exposed to more too from the media. You know, if you think back to, events that happened 20, 30 years ago, world events, you only read about it in a newspaper days later. You can actually watch events unfolding as they happen. And I think that's got to have an impact on the mindset, the experience level of younger people. And I think it's that whole piece of saying, well, you're only insert an age, what would you know? And for those of us who come from a learning and development background or a HR background as I do, it's that old adage of, do you have 10 years experience, Gerald? Or do you have 1 year's experience repeated 10 times? And I think they've packed a whole lot more into their years.
Because I think even with myself, this set here, built this set and putting the studio together, this was all done from the University of Google.
Yeah.
And the University of YouTube.
Yeah.
And I think the days of e-learning, I don't know if you remember those days, they were the cutting edge of 10, 15 years ago where we went, wow, e-learning, this is the new way of learning. So I want you to maybe tell us, what does it look like when an organisation gets it right?
Yeah, what does it look like when they really get it right? Now, from a learning perspective, the latest thinking, and I am not going to claim to be an expert on implementing this, but the latest thinking is gamification. Now, one example that we're hearing coming out of the US is the US Army. Now, they're having, for a while, great difficulty in getting people to sign up. But what they found was to get over that initial hurdle of at least getting them interested enough to sit down face to face with someone from the military and talk about their options, is that they've actually invented a system whereby they can play a war game online. And depending on what you score and so on, you then, get to different levels and achievements. And that's getting them in to say, you know what, maybe there is something to this, and maybe there are different aspects of the military that I could get involved in. So certainly gamification is an area that we're finding is working really well. And the other is team-based learning. We know with younger generations that the way they've been educated at school is a lot more collaborative. Just a question for our audience. Who was ever accused of cheating when they were at school? Yeah? You probably just had a different learning style, that you like to collaborate. Yeah? And what we're finding is that that's got them, it's got them going now. But what we find is that the way that classrooms for primary school, high school and even university are now organised is that people collaborate and they do group projects. And that therefore it's about teamwork and people working together, and isn't about that I'm cheating from you, we're learning from each other. And I think that...
Nice spin.
Well, it's not just spin, this idea that observational learning, reflective learning, we recognise that these things exist. And I think it's coming up with those team projects that aren't just theoretical, but that they're real life. And this is where some organisations are enhanced by what we call corporate social responsibility. That idea that my IT crew, who might be quite young, are going to go out and work in a community organisation, helping them with something IT related, but also learning a lot about life at the same time. And if you can then do the right debrief when they come back to the organisation and say, well, what did you get from that experience? Oh, wow, this is how a different organisation than ours operates. Here's some informal learning that I did that wasn't the purpose, but that it's opened my eyes to the fact that there are other ways of doing things and other things going on in the world. They want that holistic experience. And I think the organisations that can give them that, rather than a really hierarchical learning, are finding that they're getting great results.